Hey, happy Sunday, everybody. This is Sophia, and this is Sunday Spiritual Coffee. I usually do coffee, as you know, right after service, but I had some obligations today and had some errands to run and grocery shopping and all of that good stuff. But I do have a good word for you today. You know, we were blessed with a great speaker this morning at Community Church, Donna Pisani. If you don't know who she is, please look her up. You spell her last name Pisani. Donna and her husband have a church in Washington, D.C., and Donna has this great book, The Power of Not Yet. It was interesting, I thought, about the sermon because my message that I was going to do this morning was very consistent with what I posted on Instagram this morning, which was, you know, if all you do in your life is function, move, breathe, think, adapt when the weather is good in your life, when the sun is shining, you're never going to get where you're going. We have got to learn to keep walking in the storms, in the valleys, in those long waiting places. We've got to learn that sunny days are going to be far and few in between in our lives, folks. You're going to get a lot more storms. You're going to get a lot more rain because that's just living. And I found in my life that if I can keep going, keep walking, keep believing, keep hoping, keep seeing the vision of whatever the vision is, it gives me something to walk toward. So my word to you this morning is consistent with what I learned from Donna this morning, the power of not yet, and what I was going to talk about. And it was the Holy Spirit absolutely leading me because I've been in this place. I think I mentioned this in January. I've been in this very interesting place. I feel a little bit lost. And people who turn 50 tell me that's not uncommon. And by lost, I don't even have a definition for you of what that means exactly. I mean, it's like you're in this new place and you're not sure what to do. And I want to encourage you out there, if you're feeling some kind of way, if you're feeling like life is over, if you're feeling like you want to give up, if you're feeling like you don't know where God's taking you, or you feel like maybe God has given up on you, or you feel like your dreams have died, I'll be candid. I'm always very transparent. Loving somebody again. I've been wrestling with that, right? There is somebody to love, but I've really been wrestling with myself about, do I want to? Do I want to deal with that again? Do I want to open my heart again? Maybe I'm good. I didn't get married. I'm definitely going to adopt kids. That's in process. And, I'm thinking to myself, who's got time for it? It's too much work. People are unpredictable. One minute they love you, the next minute they don't. I posted this morning about doing the work. And that's really what this message is about, the power of not yet. When God says wait, when God says keep walking, keep moving. And that is a hard place to be. It's a difficult place for any of us. It doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. At the end of the day, none of us likes to wait. And life has this way of beating you down. It has a way of wearing you down. The monotony of just the everyday. The marriage can be monotonous. Your job can be monotonous. Kind of just feeling like, Lord, why am I here? What do you want from me? And so what I really want to encourage you today is to try to get out of that mindset. And I'm talking to me as much as I'm talking to you, because what can happen is we can get very comfortable with just the day-to-day and just existing. We don't crawl out of our box. We've gotten so used to the not yet, the no, the rejection, the loss, that we no longer see the vision. We no longer believe that God can still turn miracles. We no longer believe that God still has a purpose for us or a use for us. And we begin to, I think, get quietly isolated, quietly depressed or dejected, even though we look like everything's fine on the surface. It's not. And there are a lot of people living this way. There are a lot of people listening to me right now who are going through exactly this. And what I heard Donna say this morning, she shared an amazing story about one of her ministers at her church, one of her ministry leaders. And this ministry leader's little girl, Hope is her name, little Hope fell into the swimming pool. And nobody saw her for 18 minutes until her parents figured out she was missing. By the time her dad discovered Hope, Hope was laying at the bottom of the pool, lifeless, blue, not breathing. When they finally got the baby out and the paramedics got there, somehow through the mercy and the miracle of God, the baby started to breathe again. And she shared how her ministry leader, great lady, good marriage, good woman, and how they had had their Bible study the week before. And she was saying, to her leader, who's the mother of this little girl, what do you think God's doing in your life? What do you think he's speaking in your life? And she's like, nothing, I just think things are going along and they're fine. And Donna shares the story how when this mother had this child who was laying there lifeless, and the doctors told them, do not get your hope up, because we've never seen a baby with the lack of oxygen this long come back to life. And if she does, and if it's sustained, she's going to have severe brain damage, so don't expect anything. So the doctors set the bar really low to let the parents know your child is not going to be the same child you had before. And what Hope shared with Donna after it happened was that she realized that all the preparation in her life, the reading of scriptures, the teachings, were all preparing her for that moment of her child and what she was going to go through. Don't miss this with her baby. Well, the blessing is that not only did they hold on to their faith, but a lot of people started to pray. Churches all over the world. Donna and her husband have ministered all over the globe, Australia, Europe, everywhere. And people really dug in for this little girl. And the miracle of it is that the little girl not only regained her brain function, her ability to speak, but she walked out of the hospital a few weeks later and is a normal, healthy little girl. They've never seen anything like it. Now look, folks, here's the reality of life. Everybody doesn't get the miracle. We all know that. Sometimes we're praying for that relative. Sometimes we're praying for that situation and God says no. And then there are other times when we pray and we believe and God says a resounding yes. But I think the point is this, is that every single one of us has a not yet in our lives. Every single one of us has something that we wanted to come to pass, that we prayed for, or that we were believing for. And it either was a really long delay or it was a long denial. And the key becomes, do we have the ability through the difficult things that happen in our lives, through the storms, through the rain, through the losses, through the betrayals, through the disappointments, through the divorces, through the hurts, through the bankruptcies, through the financial losses, whatever it is, do we have the ability to keep our faith and to say to God, it's not a no, you've still got something for me to do. It's just not my turn yet, but my turn is coming. And if I keep walking and I keep believing, you're going to take all this stuff that's happened in my life, all the bad, all the challenging, all the disappointing, and you're going to turn it into something good. And folks, that's where we come into this process, which is, what are you going to do with the things that have happened in your life that aren't so good? You've heard the old saying, right? Make lemonade from lemons. Very simple, very easy, but very real. Can you take the lemons of your life and turn them into this really sweet, maybe a little tart, maybe a little tangy, but sweet lemonade that everybody wants to drink from? Your life and my life, and I've certainly done this with my life, and I'm just getting started. The Woman Code book is the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. And not just because it sold out on all the continents on the planet when it first came out, but comes out in paperback next year. It's going to be, like I said, a movie, a scripted series, a lot of other amazing things, a conference, all those things. And it all started with me being in pain. And it all started with me having to look at myself at a very difficult place where my heart had been broken badly. And I had to make a decision. Was I going to get up off the floor and do something with this stuff I learned? Or was I going to lay down on that floor, let the enemy defeat me and die? I had a choice. We always have a choice. And what I'm saying to you is that you're not yet. Don't give up on the not yet. Even sometimes the no in our lives is really not a no. It's a no to that, but yes to this. Yes, that person rejected you, but oh daughter, oh son, if you saw what I saw, if you knew what was coming down the road, if you had stayed with that person, you would be jubilant right now that I told you no. So we have to hold on to the fact that God knows what we don't know. You know, we often wonder, and the scriptures tells us it's not wise of us to say this, but you know how we often long for the old days or when the former days were better, and the Bible tells us you don't inquire wisely into these things. And it says that because we don't know what the other door held. I often wonder if Greg had lived and we had gotten married at 21, 22 years of age, what would have happened? Would we have had the 4 kids we talked about? I would have been a naval officer's wife. I would have still been a lawyer. That was always in the plan. I wanted to be a congresswoman. There were all these things we were going to do. And we were going to have this amazing life together. But it didn't work out that way. One of us died. And the other one was left living but wanting to die. And I often think back on that a lot, particularly at this stage in my life. And I wonder, what would my life be like? Would I be a mom with 4 great kids, a good marriage, a good man who I adored? Would I have traveled all over the world? Maybe I'd be a homemaker. Maybe I'd be like a lawyer of a nonprofit. I don't know. But the Bible tells me that it is not wisdom to inquire about that. It's not wisdom to look at what I've lost and long for it. It's not wisdom to wonder what shoulda, woulda, coulda. That door's shut, never to open again. So God said no to that, but he said yes to a lot of other things that I never could have imagined. And so this morning, I want you to, I really want you to think about it. I want you to think about your not yet. And I want you to ask yourself, as I've been asking myself, and this is just real. It really has been a struggle where I've said, I don't know if I want to date again. I don't know if I'm going to love anybody again. I don't know if I care about being married now. Maybe I'm over it. And a good friend of mine said to me, Sophia, you're not over it. It's not that you don't have an amazing heart and a lot of love to give. You've just been hurt a lot. And you're tired. And you've gotten to that place where a lot of people get where you're like, I guess it's just no for me. And you make your peace with it. And you just keep living. But the question is, are you really living? Are you really living? Or have you just given up? Have you just decided to stay stuck? Donna talked about these buckets that we carry. And she talked about these buckets and that we tend to associate our lives with other people who carry buckets of sorrow, buckets of pain, buckets of negativity, buckets of, oh, woe is me, buckets of I give up, buckets of whatever. And what she's saying is, she used the parable of Jesus turning the water into the wine. And I'm sorry, I can't see. I don't have my glasses on, so I apologize. But she used the parable of Jesus turning water into wine. And her point was that there were these jars of water. And the jars of water is what he used to turn into wine. And her point was, are you carrying buckets of water that you still believe God can turn into wine? Or are you just carrying this putrefied, ragged, stale, lifeless water instead of living water in you, in your soul? And that lesson hit me square between the eyes this morning because God knows what I've been dealing with and God knows what I've been telling myself. Sometimes love shows up when we don't want love anymore. And sometimes joy shows up when we don't want to have joy anymore. And the question is, do you believe God can restore what you lost? Do you believe God has a yes for you? Do you believe that the not yet can turn into something amazing? Do you believe that all the rotten, raggedy, stormy, awful, ugly stuff you've been through can still be used for some good? Or have you given up? Yep. I remember that. I remember being on the floor, doubled over. When I sustained that last breakup in 2013, I was devastated. And I never thought I'd love again. And I remember telling the last person that I was with, when he asked me about it, I said something like, I'm good. I don't need to love again. And little did I know, I opened my heart. I fell in love again. And each time I think that you're able to fall in love, each time that you're able to open your heart, and I'm talking about genuinely now, folks. I'm not talking about sex. I'm not like talking about getting your freak on. I'm not talking about screwing 10 different people. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the genuine, real deal, off these freaking phones and devices. I'm talking about the real connection that happens between two mature adults where you respect each other, you talk to each other, you pray for each other, you pray with each other, you walk, you talk, you share, you open, you give. That relationship might not have worked out. But you know what? I learned some really positive things from some of the past stuff I had gone through. So when I realized that the person that I loved, who loved me back but was not healed and was not whole, he was not healed yet. He wasn't ready. And he wasn't ready for me. And because I was in a healthy place, don't miss this, I could say, this isn't for me, this isn't good. I can love him from a distance, but I'm not going to associate myself with that anymore because it's just going to cause pain and confusion, and I don't need that because I'm worth more than that. Don't miss this. So what I'm trying to tell you is, they say that the third time's a charm. So, we'll see. I have to find the courage to open my heart and let this man love me. Because it's really on me at this point. And it's so easy to say no. And it's so easy to be done. And it's so easy to tell God every day like I do what you didn't do right. And you didn't show up. And God, you just didn't get it right. You think I care now at 50, God? Really? I actually talk to God like that sometimes. I'm telling you guys the truth. But the truth is, shame on me. Because who am I to tell God when he should show up? Who am I to tell God what he's allowed to give me and when he's allowed to give it? I'm sure Moses felt that way. I know Sarah felt that way. Boy, do I understand how Sarah must have felt. I'm sure that Ruth felt that way when her husband died and she's like, I got this mother-in-law I'm going to have to love now and look after. I'm sure that Queen Esther felt that way, like, wait, I'm the queen. Why do I have to put my life on the line for my people? God, really? I'm sure Jesus going to the cross had to have in his flesh some real questions about, really, God? This is what we're going to do? Folks, life is hard. This journey is challenging. It's challenging. But you know what? It can also be amazing. It can also be hopeful and loving and kind and good and exhilarating and fascinating. It's all what you decide to choose. It's all what I decide to choose. So you can see the glass is half empty or half full. You can take those lemons and make lemonade, or you can just keep drinking the sourness of life. You can keep being upset about what you lost and who did you wrong and who did you dirty, because there's a lot of that. Boy, if I parked my life there, I would never have written no books. I would never have amounted to anything. I never would have passed the bar exam. I didn't pass the bar exam the first time, but when I did pass it, I got the second high score in the state. I just didn't quit. And sometimes it takes you a couple times to get something right. The question is, will you persevere? Will you keep going? Will you focus forward and hold on to the not yet? Because not yet means not yet. It means it's coming. It means God has something for you. It means God hears you. God sees you. He hasn't forgotten you. I hope this word blessed somebody today. You guys have an amazing Sunday. God bless you and keep you. I'm going to be off social media most of this week. I have some travel and a busy week. And then, Got a lot going on, but I'm going to be speaking at Community Church this coming Sunday. You're welcome to visit us if you're in the DMV. We'll have information out on social media. We expect, large crowds on a Memorial Day weekend, and I'm just so blessed and humbled to be given a word on unity in the body, as well as unity in America, which is something we desperately need now. You haven't gotten your copy of E Pluribus 1 yet, you better go get one, because that book is an on-time word from an on-time God using me as a vessel. Trust me, it ain't me. But anyway, I hope you guys had a good day. God bless you and keep you, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye now.